Hello, everyone. Welcome to the eDiscovery channel. This is Tom O'Connor of the Gulf Coast Legal Technology Center. I'm speaking to you from New Orleans, Louisiana, where we are in day 15 of our shelter-in-place order from our governor in response to the coronavirus. And with me, of course, as always, is Rachi Messing of the Microsoft Legal Department, who's speaking to us from Tel Aviv. Rachi, how are things in Tel Aviv these days?
Hey, Tom, things are good. I've lost track of what day we're on our shelter in place, but
Yeah,
it's going well.
Good. Glad to hear. Hopefully, a few more weeks of this, and we'll start to get on top of the virus, and things will settle down. So
I certainly hope so, and hoping that all of our watchers and listeners are staying safe and staying healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So listen, we want to do a discussion today, or you're going to actually show us some things with some of the latest features in eDiscovery for Office 365. So without any further ado, why don't you go ahead and show us what's new and exciting in the eDiscovery world at Microsoft.
Absolutely. So we're just going to take a couple minutes, run through a couple of the new things that have popped in the last few months. And the idea is, again, we'll keep doing these updates on a regular basis, and as things continue to get added in, we'll keep showing them to you. So we are going to start off. We are already in a case, and we're going to start off here. I've gone ahead and I added some custodians to my case. And one of the new things that has been added in here is that in addition to our Exchange in OneDrive and the ability to find my SharePoint sites and my Teams, I now also have the ability to come in and get to Yammer sites. So I can go in and it'll identify, here's all the Yammer sites that this custodian belongs to, and I can add them in, and then it'll deep index them and do everything that I could do the same way that I could do it with my Teams data to identify if there are any teams that this person's a part of, and I can add those in and have that data deep indexed. So Yammer, which has been part of Office 365 for quite a while, but it was one of those blind spots from an eDiscovery perspective, is now included in the ability to identify the data, bring it in, and to index it correctly and then search it. So that is one of the things that has been recently added in. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at within search. So one of the things that the Office 365 Teams team has added in the last few months, they added it in about December, is the ability to add, I'm here in my Teams client, I'm able to add a private channel, my team. So you can see I went ahead, I added in a private channel. I'm logged in right now as Megan, and I can see that I had I sent a message to Nestor here in a private channel, which basically means that even members of this channel in general, which, if I go into the team, if I go into manage the team, I can see that there's 20-something members here, but on this specific channel, I'm able to go in and see that there's actually only 2 members. Megan and Nestor are the only 2 people. So the Office 365 Teams team added this in, which is a great feature. A lot of people use it. Well, now in the Office 365 eDiscovery side, when I do a search, for example, this search here, where I searched for the word paperclip, I can now go ahead and find that data, right? What do you think about Project Paperclip? So, which is what it said in the team, that was the message. But it then takes it one step further. I can now go ahead, and when I say I want to add my results to a review set, I have the option to do conversation retrieval. And what that'll do is, let's bump over to my review set. It will allow me that when I go ahead and bring in that data, it not only brings in the actual message, I clicked on the wrong one, that what do you think about Project Paperclip? It'll also bring in the rest of the conversation, right? Which was the bottom part of this conversation that did not have the keyword, but it still would bring that in order that I now have that full message. So that's the second thing that's been added in recently, is the ability to actually bring in the whole conversation. But you'll notice here that the two messages are two distinct messages, right? And if I've got a lot of messages in this conversation, if it's something more like, you know, one of, let's go here. There we go, design. Here, where I've got a whole bunch of replies, well, that can be really hard if each one is an individual message. So the next thing that the team has added in is the ability to go ahead and let's do a quick filter to bring up items that are Teams messages. When I bring in my Teams messages, I have the ability to go in and not only see them as each individual message here, but I can also see them in a threaded view. So I can actually see the entire conversation as it exists, including any GIFs, reactions, anything like that will all show up in the full text of the message. So you can see that I still have that. I still have each individual message. So if I have to search by, for example, let's find this example where I've got 3 messages here. If I had to search by the sender or the time or anything like that, I can still pinpoint my search to identify the specific part of a message. But in regards to the actual viewing of it, it shows up as the full conversation, very similar to the way that it actually shows up in Teams. In my metadata, I can still see everything about it, about the entire message, who sent it, the times, all of those fun things. All of that information is now here. And when I export it out, if I go ahead and say export, I have the option to export it out as a conversation file, which will actually export it out as a PDF. So I can export this out in the view that the user would see it, which is a lot easier for the end user, the attorney, to actually look at it and be able to understand the full flow of the conversation.
Right.
So
now,
that's, yeah.
Let me just interrupt, Rocky, on the retrieving those messages and that entire process. Who has the rights to do that?
So anyone who has eDiscovery admin or manager permissions is able to do it.
Great.
So I don't need to have any kind of separate permissions to the team in general or even to the private channel. I'm able to retrieve those.
Great. Thanks.
Absolutely. So now let's take a look at one last feature that I wanted to show here, and that is the ability to see a search profile view. So here what I can see is I've got a whole bunch of widgets, and I have the ability to basically create a widget if I want from any piece of metadata. So I can go ahead and say I want it to be based off of, for example, the sender domain. And let's go ahead and call this widget the sender domains. And I can determine what kind of chart do I want it to be and add that chart in. So now I can go in and click into my sender domains, and it brings up this view, which I will zoom in a bit so that we can see it a little bit clearer. And I can see here's all of the, maybe a little bit too much. Here's all the different sender domains that exist within my data set. So now I can start coming in here and I can say, okay, let's go ahead and pick this one and the Juno.com and the Microsoft Stream.com. I can go ahead and, let me zoom back out a little bit. I can go ahead and then if you noticed, all of the other charts updated based off of my selection of these 3 domains.
Right.
So now I can see that actually they're all emails. IPM Note is the item class for an email. I can see who the recipients are. I can, for example, then come in here and say, okay, I only want to see those where Isaiah is actually the custodian. So I can go ahead and visually build out this this query, save it as a query.
Great.
And it'll automatically filter it down to the 4 items that actually match that query. So a very quick way to come in here, do some filtering, being able to go in. Then if I wanted to, I could come in. I could, for example, again, this is what we showed last time. I can set up my tags. Add it as, let's do it as a checkbox. Something like that. Come in here, tag that item, tag the next item, go through whatever items I need to do, tag them as I'm going through, view them in whatever view I need to view them in, see the families, see the attachments, the near duplicates, all of those other things are still available, and then export out based off of a search, based off of all the data, however I want to do it. So that ability, though, to add that visual querying is really powerful. The fact that you can go ahead and pick any aspect of your metadata to be able to pivot off of and see it in a visual manner is really, really helpful. So those are just a couple of the things that have gotten added in the last few months. There's a whole bunch more stuff that actually I'm already playing with on our Microsoft side as customer 0. They give me stuff early, and there's some stuff that's really exciting that's coming out in the next few months, especially some things around how modern attachments are handled and some things like that. So we're going to start seeing that, as well as some things having to do with scale and how to run these types of tools at scale in an enterprise when I've got hundreds of custodians and things like that.
Excellent.
So that's our quick update for today.
Well, Rocky, I appreciate it. You answered the one last question I had, which was that it seems that this is a dynamic process as features are being added and upgraded. So I look forward to your next report whenever you're able to do that.
Absolutely.
Meantime, great. Meantime, I'll echo your earlier sentiment. I hope everybody out there is staying safe, sticking with their social distancing rules, and staying away from close proximity to other people, so we can start to shut this thing down, or at least flatten out the curve on the number of infections and hospitalizations, which is really our first goal here, just to make this whole thing flatten out. So please, everybody, stay safe, and we
stay home
and stay home. Yes, stay home and
Yes.
stay safe, which are about the same thing these days. Yeah, and we will be back with you in well, we don't know. I can't give you a time because that will depend on when Rocky is released from his shroud of secrecy to show us the next couple of features that are under development. When that happens, we will get back up to you and release another updated video. So until then, please stay home, stay safe, and we will see you next time on the eDiscovery channel. Thanks, Rocky.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the next time. Thanks, Tom.